Hi there! Today on It Is a Keeper, I'm showing you how to make deliciously easy apple fritters. These fritters are light and airy and jam-packed with lots of fresh apple flavor. Then they're coated in a sweet glaze. You are not going to believe how easy these fritters are to make. Now, before we get started, make sure you click on the red subscribe button below so you're notified whenever I share a new recipe. And of course, if you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Okay, so to make our fritters, we need to start with a basic batter. So I'm going to add some flour, which is all-purpose flour, to the bowl. And then we're going to add just a little bit of sweetness here. So I have a little bit of sugar. And a little bit of baking powder. That's gonna give our fritters some puff. Little bit of cinnamon, because apples and cinnamon are just divine. And then to round everything out, we're going to add a little bit of salt. So I'm just going to whisk these dry ingredients together just to start getting everything combined. Looking good. I'm gonna make a little well in the bottom of the bowl here for the wet stuff. So then we're going to add some milk right to that center there. I'm going to crack in a couple of eggs. And we're gonna kick that apple flavor up with some applesauce. We'll get that in there, get it all in there. And then I like to use a whisk for this. I just found that it works easy. It's going to clump up a bit. We'll have to get it off the whisk in the end, but I find that this works the best for me. You could use a spoon. You just don't want to over mix it, just until everything's combined. Okay, I got it pretty much combined here. Just get all that batter off of the whisk. Okay, now we're gonna swap over to a spatula, but before we do that, we are going to add 3 Honeycrisp apples. I'm using Honeycrisp. You can use whatever you want, but you want a nice firm apple that has a lot of sweetness, because we want that apple to have some texture once we cook these fritters. So now we're just going to carefully fold our apples into the batter. And I know it looks like a lot, and it is a lot, but remember, we want lots of bites of this sweet, delicious apple in these fritters. Oh, you can smell it already with the apples and the cinnamon. Oh, I love it. This is the perfect recipe to make when you get back from the apple orchard in the fall. Oh, with fresh picked apples, yum. I can't wait for my apple trees to start producing so I can make more of these. Okay, looking good. Now we are going to get some oil together. So I'm gonna set this aside and I'm going to get my pan and we're going to heat up some oil to fry our fritters. Okay, so I have our oil heated to 375 degrees. I'm using a candy thermometer on the side to kind of keep an eye on it. You don't want it to get too hot. I'm gonna turn this down because it is pretty hot here. And if you're using a cast iron Dutch oven, that will hold the heat. So you wanna keep a close eye on that temperature. Now I am using canola oil. You can use vegetable oil, peanut oil. You just want something that has a very mild flavor. You don't want to add extra flavor to the fritter. So I would stay away from an olive oil or coconut oil or anything like that that's going to add extra flavor. So we have our batter here, and you see all of the apples are wonderfully coated in this super simple batter. And then to the side, I have a rimmed baking sheet with a wire rack on it, and then some paper towels, so when we take the fritters out of the oil, they can drain a little bit before we go ahead and glaze them. So I think that's all of the housekeeping items before we get to frying here. I have a scoop. We're gonna do about 1/4 cup scoops. So I'm going to get it up in there and then drop it. I'm just gonna use a spoon to push the fritters off of the cup into the oil. Now remember, the more you add, it's going to drop that temperature of the oil. So you don't want to add too many, and you might have to wait in between batches to bring your oil back up to temperature. But I think I can get 4 in at a time. There we go. And I just have a slotted spatula. I'm going to push them around so that they're not touching, because these are very friendly fritters. They tend to want to like bunch up with each other. So we're going to fry them about 3 minutes, 2 to 3 minutes on each side. You're going to watch the browning. You don't want them to get too brown. But oh, these are so amazing. Okay, so these are looking good. I'm going to start turning them. They have a nice, there we go, beautiful golden color to them. Now you don't want the oil, like I said, you want to watch that temperature on the oil, because if it gets too hot, the outsides will get overdone and then the insides are going to be raw, and nobody wants a raw fritter. Okay, so these are looking done. Look at how beautifully golden they are on all sides. I'm just going to let them rest on that paper towel so that some of that extra fat can drain off. You see how nice and fluffy that baking powder made everything. Alrighty. And we'll get those little pieces out of there too. Those are for snacks. Okay, and we'll just continue with the process. Make sure your oil is hot enough. I don't think mine is. Okay, so now we're going to make a real simple glaze for our fritters, and it starts with powdered sugar. So I'm just going to transfer this powdered sugar into a bowl. Get it all out. And then we're going to whisk in some milk. Now, I always start with the amount that the recipe calls for, but I don't quite add it all. I'm gonna hold back just a bit, because sometimes, I don't know, it just makes it too thin. So you can always add more, but you can't take it out. So I'm gonna put part of it in. Now it's looking good. And I'm also going to add some vanilla. Now, if you can find a clear vanilla, by all means, use that. The darker vanilla is just going to add, it's gonna just change the color a little bit, but it doesn't really matter because our fritters are dark. Okay, we want this a little thinner. So just add a little more of that milk. Okay, so our glaze looks just about done. It's nice. It's not too thin, but it's not too thick. It's just the right consistency. So we're gonna set that aside and we're gonna bring our fritters back. Okay, so we have our fritters back in the center here. And our glaze, we are just going to take the fritter, I'm gonna pick it up with my fingers. We're gonna drop it in the glaze. I'm gonna use this fork, give it a good turn. With the whole, whoops. And then we're gonna place it right on the rack. We're gonna let that cool. And we're gonna repeat the process with the remaining fritters. Put them in, give them a good turn, want everything to get nice and coated in the glaze. You guys, just look at this plate of deliciousness. I'm going in. This one right here, it's got my name on it. Oh, They're pillowy soft, bursting with apple. Just look at all the pieces of apple in there. Oh my gosh, they are soft. They're cinnamony. They've got the sweetness from the glaze. They're just incredible. Thanks for watching. You can get the printable recipe in the video description below. Make sure you like, follow, and subscribe so you don't miss a single thing, and check out the rest of my videos where you can find more of my favorite easy recipes and quick tips. I'll see you next time. Bye!